"What's the difference between who and whom?" she asked, immediately regretting the question because she didn't really care about the answer. "Well, I'll tell you. Who and whom are two of the trickier words in the English language that many people don't know how to use properly. In most cases, this uncertainty results in people avoiding the use of the word whom altogether. Perhaps because of this, whom has gained a reputation for being a pompous or pretentious word, the type of thing someone says if they want to sound smarter than those around them. However, I believe that if we can spread understanding of when to use whom, it can work its way back into common and accepted speech once more. Even if you don't start using the word whom, it's still a beneficial thing to understand. Here's the simple difference. Who and whom are both questions with different answers. Figure out what the answer might be, and you'll know the question to use. If the answer is him or her, the word to use is whom. If the answer is he or she, the word to use is who. This is especially easy to remember with males. Him, whom, he, who. It's the same with plural nouns. Use whom with them and who with they. And therein lies the main trickiness of who and whom. They require you to think about the answer to your question before even asking the question. Here's an example of a common mistake. Who did you invite to the party? The answer would be something like, I invited him. So the question should really be, whom did you invite to the party? It might sound odd, seeing as people generally don't say whom in conversation, but it's technically correct. A lot of the time, your question will be answered with a name. I invited George. All you have to do is think about what pronoun could be used instead of that name. Here's a slightly more technical way of understanding it. There are multiple categories of pronouns, but who and whom only apply to two of these categories: object personal pronouns and subject personal pronouns. What do I mean by this? Well, for most sentences to be considered complete, they need a subject, a verb, and an object, as I'm sure you already know. The subject is the thing doing an action, the verb is the action itself, and the object is the thing being acted upon. I went to the park. Gregorio loves peanut butter. You want to use who when asking about the subject, and whom when asking about the object. To make it slightly more complicated, there are indirect objects to consider. Sentences often have much more to them than the examples I just gave. Often they have multiple objects, one being the receiver of another. In these instances, you would include the preposition to in the sentence to indicate this. I gave the wallet to Patrick. And you would still use whom in the question, but you would attach to it here as well. To whom did you give the wallet? Sentences can have more than one subject, too. John gave me the keys, and Marcus died in a hole, or something. This is when it becomes important to attach context, such as verbs, to your interrogative pronouns, to make it clear which subject you're referring to. You could ask, who gave you the keys? John gave the keys to whom? Or who died in a hole? Referring to John, myself, and Marcus, respectively. It may seem like there's no way to keep track of who and whom when the answer to your question is you, because you is both a subject and an object. However, you don't know that the answer will be you beforehand. So just remember to run through a short list of possible answers to your question, going straight to the easier ones, he, him, and she, her, to see which ones would be correct. Let's take a look at some examples of how to use who and whom properly. Try to think of the answer yourself before it appears on the screen. And with that, hopefully you'll be able to correctly use whom at your next heated debate with your parents, or at the very least you'll be able to recognize when they've incorrectly used who.